Super curve honing fans, type 2 diabetes rescued by keto fans, and carnivore eating fans. Bill here. It is late on September 7th, 2024. I'm doing a shave, and as you can see, I'm in this bad pattern for a guy with a shave hobby. Guy with a shave hobby who doesn't shave. So today I am using the Simpson Emperor 3. Okay, one of a couple of my. I at least wanted to have one Simpson brush. There was a time, I don't know how Simpson makes them now, but I think Jared Connerty visited Simpson when he was a big dealer for them, and these were at the time very expensive brushes. And I think he visited them and he showed how he made some videos of how they're hand tied and cut and everything. Old style craftsmanship. I don't know if they changed hands, if they still do this way anymore. But you can get these things online cheaper now. Okay, and sometimes cheaper means you cut some cost in manufacturing. I don't know. The soap for today, I love Sterling soap. I'm going to be using Sterling Satsuma glacial level Satsuma, which is a great citrus, kind of orangey. I don't know exactly what it is, but it is an enduring type scent. And the razor I'm going to use, and the reason I'm using a razor because I was in the middle of watching Greg Gallant's video, and I think he brought out his river razors. So I thought, I haven't shaved with mine in a while, so I'm going to do that. Usually when I do my videos, I like to tie in different topics. And so I talk about my stuff and my shaving and tie in different topics that may have some interest or to somebody else, or that I just feel like talking about. Look at my hair. Oh, speaking of my hair, look. My wife cuts my hair. She's went to barbering school. She never worked in a barbershop, but she did that for years and years, keep her license active. And my hair is like at the point where it's like stabbing in my ears, and I really hate it. And she went out with both of my daughters, and they went to like some flea market or something today. So I didn't get my hair cut today. So that's why I look that way anyhow. But I had thought about the topics that I want to talk about. I had a couple. I still have a video on shaping a stone that is upcoming. Okay, and there's a lot of guys. The use of convex hones has become what I had hoped it would be, and part of what my efforts in YouTube would be to normalize this as a method for people to try, just the same as anything else, just the same as what Slash McCoy kind of carried through with his like of the use of lapping films and came along with a style. Whereas in the beginning there were a lot of people that completely rejected that, and it's just amazing that how we wet shavers get. Anyhow, there was also, and I may do it. There was also, I got some negative feedback still coming on because of how I honed. Some I found like some old thing, and they gave me some rehash of one of the beatdowns I got from one of the hone master superiors. So this hone drone comes along. I may make a video on that. I don't know, but I thought back. I heard something. I'm going to put the link in to two videos, and the first video I caught today, okay, and it's like I saw that and I thought, wow, this was a short of, and I'm hoping I can get the link to it. It was a short of Tucker Carlson, who is like on this tour for months, on this tour going around, and he's meeting with different people that are somewhat like-minded, okay? One of which was where he had kind of done an interview with Russell Brand, okay? And those of you, there's a couple of you over there in the motherland, the UK, okay, who know who he is, because he's a Brit, okay? And there was a time he was extremely liberal. And when I would see him and hear the stuff, I thought this is a vile, degenerate person, okay? And he had an experience in life that changed him, okay? And this does go to say that people do have some capacity to allow change to happen to them. And Tucker Carlson asked him to if you would like to pray. And Russell Brand has spent a lot of time in reading the scriptures, and he has spent some time in praying. It's like, I heard this, and that's why I'm linking it in, okay? And this is still early on, the early part of it. There'll be some talk along that topic. If you don't like it, go see that, go look at that, go listen to that. If you don't want to hear anything more, then you can get that, and then you can just turn this off, okay? Otherwise, I would encourage you to look into the description and listen to that, okay? And that's what made me think of something else, and I better start lathering up. Okay, and I'm gonna tie this in, okay? After I heard that, I thought, and many of you can see with politics and the way the world has come, that it's just not what it was earlier in our lives. And I am going to read a scripture. I brought it up here on my computer. I want to read this. I don't want to kind of become that, but I'm going to tie this in, okay? And it made me think about this when I heard that prayer by Russell Brand. And this is a scripture from what we as Christians commonly know, the Old Testament. Okay, it's 2 Chronicles 7:14, and it says, "If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land." Okay, so in the note of that, okay, you know where to find that, and in the follow-up of Russell Brand's kind of introduction, I kind of want to talk about something that came across my feed. And there comes a time where if you're a person of faith and you believe that there is a God, and he does have a way of impacting people's lives and their decisions and their relationships, you could maybe understand this, okay? So and we all go through life, and this feed came in for a reason, okay? And I'll tell you about that. But and as I talk about things, if you are given something and if it is inspired, okay, for you to do something with, you should do something with it. Just like my good friend, many of you know and listen to, my good friend, our good friend, Leon, the long haul taker. And you know that he spent his youth in dedication to his faith and study of that, and he became a church pastor for many, many years. And I'm not a pastor, but I do know something about churches and how they're run and that kind of stuff. And so Leah's driving a truck, and we've had a couple of discussions over faith and matters of the scripture and that kind of stuff. And he's like doing his videos, and occasionally something comes up that has to do with a topic that comes up that has to do with faith. And I always encourage him that it's not his job to worry about. And even though he's not pastoring, okay, if he followed his calling and he did as he was led to do, okay, the purpose was served. It's not his job to make people change. He can't make people change. Only God can make people change. Just like it is my belief that God brought Russell Brand around to change. So this is I'll come back to that. Russell Brand, change, Leon, church. Anyhow, if there is something that comes to you and is inspired, okay, it is, there's no reason not to share it. So that's why I'm sharing this. Okay, so this is my good friend Martin Wood over there in the UK. He had one of these, and I wanted one just like this. I love this. Okay, this is Bourse de Riviere. This was fashioned after the Palmera 14 razor. It's got the stamp on there with the River Razor logo. I really like, I don't have a lot of custom razors, but I wanted a couple of them, and I did distinctly want one from this guy. And I've talked about the reasons many times before on that. But it's a good shaving razor, especially when you've been neglectful in shaving. So the feed. On my YouTube, when I had the disease that you're not supposed to be able to get because you took the medicine that they forced you to take, and or tried to force you to take, and they forced some of us to take. I took it voluntarily, but you weren't supposed to get this disease. I wound up with it, and later on, after having taken this one medicine, I find out they didn't really study it well enough. And there's some reason to believe that all of a sudden different strains of this favored disease you're more susceptible to. Now, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. Okay, I thought I heard Dr. John Campbell, another Brit, say that there's research and document that research. So I'm saying this is what I think I heard. Okay, so just in case the machine comes along, because once you talk about certain things, sometimes the machine's going to come and it's going to get you. Okay, so I got to say this is things that I've heard. This is not gospel truth. There are the machine has sensors for truth, and they will give you the truth. And if I'm a little offline, I'm pretty sure that they'll I'm hoping they won't take me down. I'm hoping that they'll just call me out and say, oh no, this is what you got to go. This is what you got to listen to. And leave my stuff alone. So anyhow, during that time when I was coughing and hacking and my speech was rough, feed came in, and there was a guy that I had watched a couple of videos. He's a guy that goes around different parts of the country, and he does these little documentaries on the area, okay? And he's been to different parts of Appalachia and different places where and a number of them not far from here. He's been to, there was one that was recent that I saw on Centralia. Look up Centralia, you'll find the whole story about the city that they got a fire started in the coal mines underneath, and it's still burning. And it's very real, and that's still burning. I used to have a customer up that way, and I used to drive up that way, and there's like a state highway that was closed, and they had to detour around it, and supposedly around there's times that you can still smell the smoke coming out of the mine. But it's all abandoned. There's a few families that once they move out, I don't think they're going to let anybody move in, but there are a few families that still kept their homes. But this guy did a documentary, and I guess because I saw those other things that this one came in, and this one interested me. And I might just call the video, and I'm hoping that these links, I'm saying this, and I'm hoping that I can get these links in the description. But I will link in the description to this particular documentary that he did. Okay, he's an excellent excellent presenter and filmer, and by the way, I did shower before the shave, and I did use Peresso, the Ritz Man's pre-shave. But look at this video that I call up, and I'm going to call my video "Straight Shaving for Kensington," okay, or Kensington PA. You can go and you can do a little bit of research, and you can find out what Kensington PA is. The documentary does a lot of information about Kensington, and when I traveled, I do remember distinctly some areas in that video. I do distinctly, this is decades ago, driving down that particular street, okay, where the video kind of takes place. It was different then. It was bad then, okay? Today it's like, okay, and Kensington is one of the most open and free drug markets in the United States. Not that there aren't others, okay, but I've seen people who would video, and for this guy that does the documentaries to go down in there and to make this video was astonishing. But he was invited by some people to meet with a church pastor who has a church, okay, and this is where it ties in, okay, has a church in Kensington, and I know something about this particular kind of church, or where they come from, okay, because, and this is where I'm going to tie in with their outreach and my respect for what they do. It's Calvary Chapel of Kensington, Pennsylvania, and they have a church there, and they have outreaches, and they have a lot of their outreach, I think, is towards young or people with kids who live in that area. And how do you keep these people from getting hooked on these drugs and from the crime and this is activities what they're doing, and they're trying and so I believe successful at it, one at a time, snatching people and lives and souls from the clutches of wickedness and evil. And I think you should look at that. But I'm going to tell you about Calvary Chapel, okay? And I'm not affiliated with a church. I haven't been to church in many, many years. There's a lot of reasons for that, but it is what it is, okay? It's part of why I think I understand Leo's situation, why he's driving a truck and not pastoring a church anymore. Anyhow, Calvary Chapel, as it is known now, it was a movement, okay? While there are independent Calvary Chapels, like I'm sure Calvary Chapel of Kensington is an independent church, okay? And they run their own thing. But there are people who kind of become like-minded, but the original Calvary Chapel, there was actually a movie that was made about it, and I think it was on Netflix, by largely two people who kind of started that movement, but the one who carried through and is given a lot of responsibility for continuing and popularizing the movement was a guy by the name of Chuck Smith. And the way the story goes, and you can find that story, that movie, this guy, Chuck Smith, okay, They were in Southern California, and he and his wife, and they were pastoring some sort of a church of, I don't know what faith, what label, it doesn't really matter. But what they had noticed was they would see, and this is in the 60s, and they would see the hippies, they called them, and these people with the long hair and the grungy clothes and with a loss of direction. Okay, and you could tie this in, and you can look and see that there is some similarities in that in young people today. And I'm going to say this because I had the thought of it, that one time not too long ago, got to think about my shaving here and get this off. Leon played the song Eve of Destruction, okay, by Barry McGuire, that was from that same era. And these kind of things reach these people, and these people, there were changes were brought about in their lives, okay? And the Calvary Chapel movement was largely responsible for snatching multitudes of troubled young people of that generation from the clutches of the situation and what they were in. And that's where it started, and it kind of spread across the country. And you could search up the Jesus movement if you want, and a lot of these people will become part of that, and in the stories that revolve around that. But anyhow, so there was this Calvary Chapel, and it moved and it spread. So here's this guy from Kensington, okay, and I believe he grew up, and I think he lost family members to drug overdoses, and his calling became to pastor and have a church right there in Kensington. It's like, and I think somebody invited him, maybe somebody from the church invited him, being the guy that was doing the documentary, to come there. And he came there, and he met with them, and they walked out through Kensington. And it's like, and look at the video, and you can see this. It's like, my God, why would anybody ever want to or risk actually having a church in this area? It's like, and even as the walk through the street, they made sure that the guy with his documentary in having a camera there, he was very, very careful about what direction that camera had pointed. So the documentary goes on, and it tells the story about the bad part. Here's Kensington. Here's what it is, and then it brings it around to a small story and a small revelation, and a talk about the great thing that Calvary Chapel of Kensington is doing. Okay, and I've long thought about what has happened to our country for many, many reasons. Can it be recovered, changed? Yeah, I'm sure it can, but you got to make somehow or somewhere. somebody's got to make the right calls. Okay, so for instance, I'm a Democrat now. Many of you know that I told that. So my party, okay, and I became a Democrat because I thought I would have the right to be able to vote in a primary for who our party would put up for president. Somehow or another, that didn't happen too well. Because a lot of times the state of Pennsylvania, which is where I live, it's kind of a swing state, and a lot of times it goes Democrat, and that's kind of the way things had been going. I thought, well, gee, I'd like to have some say in the representation in the political process around here. Okay, so we blame me if you will. We the Democrats have got this gang of yahoos running around. Okay, and some people believe anything. So our candidate, when she gets to be president, what she's going to do is she's going to give first-time home buyers $25,000 a year to buy a house. Okay, now there's a lot of people that have charged. I don't know. Okay, there's a lot of people that charge that includes people that just kind of came walking in across the border that we're just going to give them $25,000. I don't know where you get that, but I've been in business, and it's like, if you're going to spend $25,000, you know, anybody that runs a household, you have to earn enough money to pay for the checks that you write at the end of the month. Although people don't write checks too much anymore. But it doesn't take too much math to figure. Okay, so let's say a new house, a starting home is in an area that the cost for that house, a rough starter is, let me just throw the number, $300,000. Or we'll be very conservative. Let's say $200,000. So you've got to come up with $200,000 that you'll be paying somehow, and I guarantee you, if you have to have the government give you $25,000 towards that first time buyer starter home, okay, that you have to be in some sort of a financial position with your job to be able to afford that. Okay, but that $25,000, while that is going to be a help, okay, that is not going to take somebody who can't afford that $200,000 house and be able to buy them a starter home. They're not going to be, where's that $25,000? It's like you can go out, you can go buy a new car. It doesn't take too much buying a new car to get into the $25,000 range. Okay, let's not even talk about pickup trucks for those of you that drive pickup trucks. We're not even going to go there. Okay, so here's this situation of blight in Kensington, these people and where they've come from. And you go into cities and drive through cities, and I'm not from the city of Baltimore, but that's my hometown. Okay. And you can drive around there and you can see these houses, just rows and rows and rows of houses that are just empty. Now, many, many years ago, if our schools, I don't even think schools today teach things like, craft. I don't even think we teach what were traditionally women things. Well, no need for typing class anymore. Your computer can teach you to type, okay? But things like how to work with your hands with metal and wood and certain things. If we'd have taken some of these young men who maybe could be touched in the same way that Russell Brand was, or had been touched spiritually and energized to be like many of these people. You know, you reach in, you take this guy in Kensington, and you reach in and you grab somebody from the pit and you bring him out, and his soul is redeemed and his spirit and his person is redeemed. Okay. And then what is he going to do? He's going to go around. Where is he going to find a job? Like the type of jobs that were available when I was young. Okay. Because a lot of that stuff just doesn't exist anymore. But you haven't even given him some basic skills. You know, it's like maybe that $25,000 for half of that. Maybe you could buy one of these beat up, rundown shack houses that are sitting around empty, and he maybe could have had hope. And that's what these people don't have. They don't have hope. And how do we get them to help them to have hope and to be skilled and energized? And a good step is reaching in to the pit and grabbing them out. And that's where I want to kind of go with that and kind of end with that. Do look at the link in there, okay? And if you are so motivated, do feel free. I could vouch for generally speaking, for Calvary chapels that have that name, Calvary Chapel, and there's always the caveat, okay? But generally speaking, and this one in particular, okay, that a donation would be to their work would be a worthwhile benevolence for somebody who's in a position to make a benevolence, okay? And an illustration, and I'm going to illustrate the Calvary Chapel that I was involved with, okay? I was on the board, and one time I was the treasurer, and I counted the money, and we never took up an offering, but people wish to give. You go to a church, a lot of times you give. A lot of churches pass an offering plate. Most Calvary chapels don't. You know, here's this place, you want to give, go put your money in this box, okay, and then somebody counts it, okay? Well, the thing that can vex your soul was if you were the person who counts the money and it counts for things and has the end of the year give a receipt for charitable donations. Sometimes actions speak louder than words, and you can look and you see, oh my God, you know, and it's revealing, and it's at times troublesome. But one thing I could say is I believe that in most Calvary chapels, the pastor never knows how much money's coming in, and he doesn't necessarily know where it is. The one that I was involved in, the pastor, when I was there, he never knew. Okay, that was our job to take care of the finances and move things along. You know, your job, your calling is you are to tune in and listen to what you are led to discuss and teach. Okay, it's not your job to worry about the electric bill and the water bill. That's our job. Okay, so. And I think on this video, the pastor of the Calvary Chapel of Kensington did say that you know, and he was showing this. He says, I don't even know how we pay for this. I don't know where the money comes from, and I believe him. So there's that with the story, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up with the last pass on this. I'm already. Over my time, I see people do shave videos in their 15 minutes, and I kind of talk, and I'm longer than that, and why people listen to me yakking on sometimes, I don't know. And if I knew how, I don't know how. If I did know how, I could maybe do a thing and put in some clips from, Lincoln and all that stuff. All I'm going to do is say, I'm going to try and link the videos that I talked to in the description so that you can click on that and that'll come up and you can watch it. I would encourage you if you are so interested, led, motivated, whatever, to please go ahead and do that. Isn't it good to have a cologne? Oh man, that's good to have a... Why don't I take up shaving as a hobby and not grow all this damn hair all over the place? What is the matter with me? So just in case you're tuning in today and you're one of the... This is off of... Back on the subject of shaving. If you're one of the guys that loves to beat down on how people hone razors, okay, the guy who honed this, he hones similar to the way I do for his stuff in his house. But he hones this the way a lot of people believe you have to do it. Okay, so this was honed on flat stones. I think it was finished on in Arkansas. I think that's what he said. I forget what steel this is. It is a carbon steel. It's very hardened. He's hardened to a higher level. This is kind of similar to Philly 14. This is not as, it's a little different because you can distinctly tell I can distinctly tell that this does not have the flex, but this does get a keener, more rigid cutting type edge. So maybe the yield on this particular steel is more to the type of thing that I like, which is I like to have. So welcome back again. So after that episode of thing falling off and me throwing you in the sink, I apologize. Some of this stuff I'm going to cut out and shorten it back up again. So if you're looking for a razor that can take a really and produce a really sharp edge, some people would call it harsh. I don't, because I don't find it harsh. You know, a lot of harshness is sometimes involved in your particular shave technique. So I don't know what Greg Gallant had to say about his river razors because I haven't finished it up. I think he has a couple of them, and I think he and Boris have also communicated and know each other well. And you know, a lot of us guys on the YouTube kind of do these things because sometimes the old things, the way they were when I kind of get into shaving, where you got on a shave forum and you discuss that kind of thing, that some of that has kind of fallen by the wayside. So that's a really good shave. There's some Almond. Check how I am. I'm going to see if I can maybe tie in some of the guys that I like, because a lot of these guys tie in. Greg, Eric, Leon, Martin, Sean, Michael. There's a number of people that have that tag me in on their videos and that kind of stuff, which I appreciate. And I'm going to try and get a list and be regular with putting that in the description as to these are people that I like and I'll listen to. And I don't always get to watch all of the videos, because sometimes watching all of the videos interferes with me actually shaving. Okay, that's an excuse. That's an excuse. For the aftershave, okay, I'm going to use the Sterling Sats, the matching Sterling Glacial Level Satsuma. Okay, this is one orangey type citrus scent that more than others has in citrus has an enduring. It's the only one where I put it on in the morning, and then after the day's work, still found that I could smell it. It's a good. It's available. It's a summer scent. I don't know if it's a year-round scent or not, but I encourage you, if you're looking for a good orangey citrus scent, there are people who have spouses that are offended by perfumey, I'll call them that, perfuming type scents, even in soap, that citruses, because they're essential oils, don't necessarily bother them as much. So that's the shave. The aftershave, I'm going to do a little bit of a finish up. Okay, this does come from, I'm going to credit this, the use of talc powder does come from Barbara Dave at the Shaving Cadre. He does it a little different than I do. He puts on a brush, shakes on a brush and puts it on. And I got the thing where I got this powder cannon. Now, he uses this in his business, in his profession. He has them, and he sprays the stuff onto a brush and then brushes it on. And you could do this type thing too. And then that way you don't wind up with the powder bomb. So that's that. I don't even know how long. I mean, I got 5 minutes on the second thing after the drop. But this is Bill. I do thank you for tuning in, and I am going to close with, I'm going to read that scripture again, and I'm going to say, think about this, people. We're living in there's the camera getting ready to. Camera doesn't want to listen to me. Okay, if my people, okay, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Okay, that's in the word. Okay, if you think what's happening wherever you are is just bonkers crazy, there's where we can start, my friends. Take care. Thanks for listening. Bye.